What's up, people? It's Niche Girl 30 here, and as you can see, my shoulder is getting a little bit better here. But anyway, enough about me. This is my SmackDown review for July 20th. This happens to be Rey Mysterio's first return on SmackDown after a very, very, very long time. And I'm not gonna, I mean, he actually did open the show. I am not gonna have any kind of beef or anything to say about that, because the one thing I can say is that it was definitely really emotional for him, and you can kind of tell the emotion in his voice when he was actually talking, especially the fact that it was in his hometown of San Diego. So for real, I got no beef on that. But the one thing I can say is that as the opener went on, as the promo went on, um, honestly, it kind of got interrupted by Alberto Del Rio, which was not bad. And then, with that whole segment, the only problem that I had with it is it seemed like they were waiting for their cues. Like seriously, when Rey Mysterio was talking, and it seemed like yeah, he was filled with emotion, so I'm gonna let that go, like I said before. But when Alberto Del Rio was talking, it seemed like he was waiting on a cue. Like he was waiting for someone to come out and say, okay, this is what's going on. It's 5 minutes. You're supposed to be coming out by now, and you can kind of tell that they were waiting on something, that he was definitely cueing someone to come out. And then here comes Dolph Ziggler, and I think I'm really starting to become a little bit more interested in this feud, because it seems like that Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio still have history. But then here comes Dolph Ziggler with his Money in the Bank briefcase, saying that he was pretty much for Alberto Del Rio because he was mad at him for what he did the previous week. And then comes out Sheamus to be the hero of the day. I guess maybe this is a triple feud. It was kind of confusing who was feuding with what at first, but it's kind of an interesting angle if you think about it. I guess Rey Mysterio is going to actually feud with Alberto Del Rio, but then I think it's going to pretty much be Rey versus Alberto Del Rio, probably at SummerSlam. I'm hoping that it's going to be those guys at SummerSlam, because that would be a really great match. And seeing how Rey Mysterio was on Raw this past Monday really does show me that his ring rust isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I think it's going to be a great match between those two. And I think Dolph Ziggler is going to probably start a feud with Sheamus, which is going to be an interesting thing anyway, since he's the Money in the Bank winner. But I'm going to be real, there was really not a lot of respect for the Money in the Bank winner. He's constantly getting clocked every single night. But moving on from there, I guess it was an 8-man tag team match with the primetime players Epico and Primo, Hunico and Camacho, and the versus well, let me rephrase that again. It was the Boom and Truth versus the primetime players versus Epico and Primo versus Hunico and Camacho. Well, honestly, that was a pretty good match. It was at a decent pace. Pretty much all the wrestlers themselves had a decent amount of chemistry, so it really was not all that bad. It was a pretty interesting match, and I really enjoyed it, except for AW's Mike. Okay, sure, I understand that he is trying to be a heel manager. I get it. We all get it. But he's taking far too much attention from the match. I'm sorry. And that's just me liking wrestling. That's just me liking the wrestling match. For people that there are some people going to enjoy that because of the fact that AW happens to be a really interesting character. I guess. I mean, I'm really not interested in AW, but he's a real interesting manager, especially the fact that he's really flashy. He tries to get himself out there and he tries to have other people make him look good. So in a way, yeah, I kind of understand the mic, but he kind of takes a lot of attention away from the match, and that was my only gripe about it. But the match itself was still good. Moving on. Okay, now I saw this on the internet, so 9 times out of 10, this was probably a lot of things that got cut out. If there were some things that got cut out and you choose to watch it tonight, please leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what I missed, and I also want to hear what your thoughts about the matches that I missed. Moving on to another segment. Now, this was actually mentioned on Raw. Christian had his peace show segment, and it was for Daniel Bryan and AJ. Since they're going to be getting married on Raw next week, he pretty much did a little peep show, pretty much peep show action with these guys. And honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of done with the whole romantic getting married on the show part. And the reason why I'm done with that is because during the Attitude Era, and yes, I'm saying the Attitude Era, uh, the weddings were really interesting because the fact is they got broken up in the most extreme way. We know Stephanie got married twice on there, and it was probably the most hilarious moment I've ever seen both times. And well, one was actually downright sad, and then the other one was pretty interesting to watch. But then, we had other weddings that went on. Lita's wedding ended up being really funny. But either or, I'm just kind of get tired of the whole wedding thing, and I really didn't care much about it. But then the fact that Kane ended up getting involved in it again, because it was Daniel Bryan versus Kane right after Christian announced the fact that Kane was going to be his opponent for the night, his AJ's psychotic ex-boyfriend. But honestly, gosh, it's gonna be another twisted love triangle with Kane being involved. Good grief. This was something I thought was gonna end and die after Money in the Bank. But it seems like that now that CM Punk is out of the picture, now we got Kane involved. And why am I surprised that Kane is gonna break up the wedding? Oh gosh. Speaking his true feelings out for AJ. Oh, who freaking cares? Okay, moving on from there. Moving on to the match of the night. The match of the night was Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio versus Rey Mysterio and Sheamus. The one thing that I liked about this was the fact that it was not completely done. Like, it actually did not go over cleanly. It did leave a lot of opening for the feuds. And yes, Rey Mysterio had a chance to go out on top as well as Sheamus, but it did not go over cleanly, which leaves a lot of opening for this feud to actually flourish, which makes me really, really happy to know. Because SummerSlam is going to be the next big pay-per-view coming up, and it makes me very happy to know that they have enough time to actually build all these feuds up. So I'm glad it did not go over cleanly. I'm glad it actually left a little bit of an opening for these guys to actually build up their feuds a lot more. And plus, yes, one thing I left out, the Big Show. The Big Show pretty much is just showing, I don't know whether or not I want to say overall dominance. I don't know whether or not I want to say that he's showing that he's a true monster heel. I don't know what to say, but he is pulling a card out of Mark Henry. Like, seriously, when Mark Henry did it, Mark Henry pretty much beat the crap out of anybody that came across. But it pretty much instilled fear, not only in the people involved, but the whole WWE universe and the people watching at home. Like, seriously, you were straight up afraid for everybody that was out there. But I'm gonna be honest, when the Big Show did it, and then he picked up the microphone saying, "Yeah, what?" Once again, you're not supposed to explain what you're doing. You just beat the crap out of people and leave the ring. That's all you have to do, is not speak, but you keep speaking. When Mark Henry did it, he really did not have to have any rhyme or reason why he just knocked you out. He just knocked you out because he could. For some reason, the Big Show is constantly explaining himself, and that is what's getting on my nerves. If you're a heel, if you're a monster heel at that, just freaking do it and stop trying to explain yourself. But I have to say, for all in all, when it came to SmackDown really was not all that bad. It really wasn't really, I mean, it really was pretty good. And SmackDown has been pretty consistent for the past few Fridays. So I really have enjoyed watching SmackDown. I think the SmackDown definitely did a good job. It didn't really do much for SummerSlam, but it's still pretty young. So I'm going to let that slide. So I have to say that for the overall entertainment that I got, the overall enjoyment that I had of the matches, the chemistry within the wrestlers within the ring, as besides the whole sluggishness and the whole waiting on your cues at the beginning of the segment, I still have to give this thing a thumbs up. I still think that it was a really good. I think it was a really good show, and I think I really had a good time watching it. So it's a thumbs up. That's my verdict, and I'm sticking to it. It's Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. See you later.